Welcome to the OFX podcast. I'm Dave Claxton. Along with me, as always, is the fully frozen filler of the fast lane, Bethany McChesney.
That's a good one.
So how you feel?
Way more banged up than I wish I did after running a half marathon, but
The half marathon, right? We're talking 21K
yeah, 21.1.
on hard frozen concrete.
Yes. And it was minus 14 Celsius when we started.
What shoes did you wear?
I just wore my Saucony Speed, so I find both of my Saucony Pros they're so thin and light that my feet would just be frozen the whole time. So it's just not worth it. And even then with the speeds, I almost wore like a thick trail shoe, but then I'm like, ugh, don't be dumb. You're just gonna be clunky and hate it. But my feet go numb so easily, and I'm just miserable because I can't feel the ground, and then my toenails go black, and
Have you ever used waterproof socks?
no.
Okay, so I have these. I bought these for God. I'm gonna guess it was World's Toughest Mudder or some shit like that. But I bought waterproof socks off Amazon. And first pair I got, they're huge. Like they go all the way up to my knees. And literally you can put your foot in a bucket of water and your feet don't get wet just wearing these socks. But they're also the point the reason I ask is I've worn them a couple of times just doing because I got some smaller ones that just go to the ankle as well. I've worn them a couple of times doing like trail runs and they're really warm. So they kind of work both ways because I guess like they also, kind of keep your sweat in.
Yeah.
They keep my feet really warm. Now they're a little thick, but
Yeah.
I've worn them with my Ultra King MTs,
Hmm.
and wow, they worked really well together. It just, you know,
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't try it for the first time on race
no,
day,
no.
but
I'll maybe send you a link and put up a link to it. And it's like Randy's socks or whatever. I don't know, but
uh,
they're thick and they're waterproof and they really actually work. And I've been stunned by them. I
hmm.
wear them in my work boots through the winter now.
Well, that makes sense.
Too. Like I'll put on a pair of almost thin dress socks underneath and then those over top and wear those in my
Hmm.
work boots. My feet are never cold,
Yeah.
no matter how much I cheap out on my work boots.
Yeah.
All right, so tell me about the run.
Yeah, so I was not planning on doing this race. I did say last year, maybe it was even the year before, I'm never doing it again because it's early March and end of February in Ontario, and the weather it's always freezing. Sometimes you get this random nice, maybe some sun, but
Like
it's
that's
just
coming in 3 days.
that or today, it's
Yeah.
gorgeous. But we and it's not so much like within the race itself, it's fine, but it's a pretty busy race course. So, you're parking far away and then getting there and you can't really there's nowhere to like drop your stuff. So you're just running basically to the start line. You're all corralled in, you're freezing. So there's no really good way to stay warm right up until the start line. So you're freezing when it starts. And then as soon as you finish, so you're like it usually takes me about 6 to 9K to like feel my toes again. And then you finish and you're guaranteed to overheat because you wore too much clothes to not freeze on the start line. And then at some point you're like, oh my God, I'm dying. So I had like 3 buffs and I just started tying them on my arms and you're just gradually trying to take some clothes off. So then you're sweating too much. So then by the time you finished, you're like soaked on your inside layer and then it's still minus 14 out. So then you're like, had this fear of going hypothermic. So then you're like, I gotta get to the car and change. Like, it's the before and after that I find with these really cold road races. That's the hardest part. Um, yeah. So, and yeah, we were not planning to do it, but then our friend Lindsay wanted to put this in her schedule to stay honest with her mileage in the winter, which is exactly what this race is for. We were not honest with our mileage over this off season, and we have not been doing long runs, and it's been a pretty terrible winter, to be honest.
Yeah.
a lot of the Sundays we wake up and it's like minus 25 and I'm like I'm not running 20K. I just have just my mentality right now or whatever. So our long run is honestly 10 to 12K. So it was like 3 weeks ago and she was like, please, will you just pace me? Like I've never done this before. And I'm like, sure, I'm such a sucker for it. So so we signed up and to be honest, in my head, I thought, I can probably take her to 10 to 12K at the pace that she wants to run. And we did adjust our goal actually based on the temperature, just because it's for us, it wasn't really, there's a bit of risk to racing when it's so cold too, and trying to push a pace with, your tendons just don't respond the same. And the last thing you want is to have some fluky injury come up, like a strained hamstring tendon or something, just because, some random race in early March. So we did adjust our goal pace a little bit. So I figured I could get her to 10 to 12 probably, and then I'd have to let her go. But we're still feeling pretty good and coming up to like 15, 16. But then I knew that she had been training really well for it. So then around 16K, I'm like, if you're feeling good, now's the time. So then she was like, okay. And then she really dropped it. Like she's really fit right now. So she actually did end up hitting her goal or original goal time. Probably not like her AA goal time, like best case scenario, but she still ran a really solid time for her. So yeah, and then the last couple K, my body was like, you did not train for this, and was pretty mad at me. So that's when like the calves start going and the quads start seizing. And I had worn my vest because I knew the water stations would just be bricks of ice. But then the tubes on my vest all froze solid. So I was just carrying this vest full of ice chunks basically, but the whole race. And then my last gel froze solid. So I'm like, ugh, these winter races just suck.
Tip for the future, a little bit of vodka.
Vodka.
From freezing. Little vodka in the mix. You'll keep her from freezing. Be great. Fantastic.
Oh yeah, and then you get a little bit tipsy by 16K in.
Won't care about the calves. Everything will be fine. It's a win-win.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you didn't PR.
Oh gosh. Me, no. My PRs though from like, I don't know, 15, 16 years ago.
But okay, but the race itself, what is it called? The chili half or something like that?
Yeah, the really chilly half.
Really chili half. I actually heard a lot of people when Robbie Moss went out and did it there. I saw.
Robbie was right around us.
Yeah, was he? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of people went out and did that once. So I wouldn't even get me close to it anymore. But it was well run, like it was good, like the organization and everything.
Yeah, it's a great race. It's been around a long time. It's strategically placed 3 or 4 weeks before Around the Bay, the 30K. So a
Mm.
lot of people they do this one and then they're doing the Around the Bay and then they do Mississauga Marathon. So it's kind of like the Toronto succession of races. So
Are
there's
you
me no.
no, you're not gonna do it around the bay this year?
No.
Not until someone says, "Hey, Beth, let's do this."
I might put my foot down with that one because I honestly the 30K is a long way to go without properly training.
I tell everyone out there, please ask Beth to do this race and just see if she'll say no.
No.
See if she'll
No.
stones to not people please.
I know. The chronic people pleaser is lining up for these road races.
Oh, well, that's cool. So I had the busy weekend this weekend. I had back to back. Saturday we had the Deca Atlas slash Strong at Pure Impact, and then Sunday we had the High Rock Strong at Elite Performance in Burlington. And I was very warm,
Inside.
very
During the
warm.
race, I was even thinking, man, we don't deal with these issues when we race high rocks and Deca. Like you just
Do you remember how you've been complaining? You know, not really, I don't know really complaining is the wrong word, but saying how you kind of miss the outdoors and I miss the mountains and all that stuff. And now you can
yeah.
remember why we went inside.
Yeah.
We don't live
Yeah, I
in these
know.
places.
Well, but at least, running a half marathon out and back. in downtown Burlington though, it's not like you're running up and you're summiting a mountain and you get like that view.
Yeah.
Like we ran down the streets of Burlington.
I can
So
I can get that view on Google.
yeah, or like that one you like go for a drive. Like you're not missing it. It's so different than running in a snowstorm and then summiting a mountain in Kelowna, BC. Like that's worth it a little
Oh
bit
yeah.
more.
Sounds it.
Yeah.
So um we did it. I had fun and I did PR. Sort of. Well, I mean, technically it is a PR, but also technically it's not a PR because it was the first official one. So I don't know if that makes it a PR or not. Everything else is a sim.
Right.
I'm gonna say it's a PR anyway. So I was 14:45 for the Atlas, which is a 45 seconds faster than my last one.
Mhm.
But I did some things different. This time I didn't really break up the thrusters. I didn't go straight through, but what I did was I did like 10 and paused it on the chest, took two breaths, and then did six, paused it on the chest, did two breaths, and then did the four. So I never set it down, right? So just kept going like that. Um, Everything else was pretty much the same as last time, but I did have a giant skipping rope malfunction. So I got the skipping rope.
Oh.
I'm cruising along, skipping along. I think she said, or I said it was 72 reps, and the end of my skipping rope just blew off. And I'm
Oh no.
like rope, 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 rope. And luckily Riley was pretty quick on it, and got me another one. And we figured it out. We went through the video after and lost like 12 seconds. But it was just funny, just like I'm like, oh shit, I was not prepared for this.
Mhm.
What good. Yeah, I had a lot of fun. And this is now I believe, the age group record after 2 weeks.
Hey, the ball.
And possibly nobody else in my age group having done it. Possibly. I'm not entirely not sure. I have the record.
Definitely. Mhm.
But it was good. It was fun. Amber, Chelsea, and Becca King all put in unbelievable times, like
Mhm.
awesome times. That was really cool to watch and really cool to see. Robbie Moss himself, he put in a good time. Something that was impressive that I didn't expect to like as much. The foundations ones. It
Yeah.
was really good to watch people do that. It was, I don't know, it was, it's that kind of community uplifting thing, seeing someone do something they didn't think they could do, and it was just kind of cool. I didn't know that I would, because I wasn't completely on board with the foundation idea in the beginning.
Yeah.
And I think it was okay. I think it worked all right. It's not too bad.
Mhm.
I think you would have enjoyed it. I think you would have had fun. Um, so that was good. That was a lot of fun. Riley did hers too there. She actually did the foundation because she's still dealing with some tendonitis and didn't want to lift anything heavy. And she actually really enjoyed that too. She was like, that was all right. That was good. It was a bunch of
Mhm.
fun. And just so you know the difference, her foundation time was like 9 minutes faster than her regular one. That's the difference, the amount of weight made for her.
Oh, I believe it. Mhm.
It was huge. I didn't think it would be that much, but it was pretty massive. And then they also had Deca Strong relays and stuff like that. So it was packed. It was great. It was a lot of fun.
Mhm.
We did that, and then Sunday we went to Elite Performance to do the High Rocks Strong or Hard Rocks or whatever that.
Yeah.
They got to name that thing.
Mhm.
It's just not working for me, the name. And I did that. Had a same thing. I was 28 minutes on this one.
Okay. What was your last one?
40.
Oh.
Yeah, so and a lot of people had fast times, and I was trying to figure out what the hell happened. Like, how does that work? And I think what happened is I think the one we did at Holistic with the Fetchiks, I think they had 100 meters of sled, right? 100 for push and 100 for pull, even though it was kind of mixed together.
Mhm.
This one did 50 meters for sled. So I'm thinking there was that difference, and the sleds were moving very well. They had brand new turf.
Yes. You mean so it was still a push and then a pull.
Yes, exactly. So it was much more like a Deca thing with the tank, right? You pushed and then you pulled with the handles, right?
Uh-huh.
And and we did 50 meters, whereas I think at Holistic, I think we did 100.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, you add on the extra time for that, and plus it was much heavier. Like it wasn't that the sleds were heavier, but they were not moving as fast at Holistic as they were in Burlington.
Yeah.
And I think that made a massive, massive difference just to people's fatigue and obviously adding on double the sled time. But it was good. It was a nice day. It was nice. It was nice. And it was also very nice and tight and compact and easy to move around, right? You were right there when you got off one implement onto the other.
Mhm.
But yeah, I felt really good. I just cruised the whole time, like I was joking and having fun and just cruising along until pretty much until the wall balls. And even then I broke up the wall balls probably too much. And because I did the thing where you do 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, and that's your 100. And
Oh.
I'm like, yeah, I didn't need to do that. I could have just, you know,
Mhm.
definitely could have rocked out like the 31 in the beginning and then like the 19 on the end. And yeah, but I just had a plan and did the plan. The
Yeah.
fun
Mhm.
part was, so me and my buddy Chris Otis both did it, not in the same wave, and we were 2 seconds apart.
Oh, wow.
And actually, he beat me by 2 seconds, but we talked to the judge, and I actually did an extra wall ball.
It's because
Like,
your counting was so complicated.
no, well, I had the judge, and what happened, and this happens all the time, and we talked to judges about this. As a judge, you're counting up, 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 and then you get like 10 left, and you start counting down. But so often it gets screwed up.
So yeah.
And that when it's like, and one, and then that in my head, when you say one, right? Like I hit the target and you say one left. Like I think that means I have one left, not that that's the one that's done. But they get screwed up sometimes. And this guy, the way he counted it. So when he showed me the clicker after, he's like, yeah, you did 101. I'm like, well, you said one when I hit the target last. So just keep counting up. Just keep
Yeah.
going up. It's easier.
Mhm.
Nobody makes mistakes if you just keep going up.
Mhm.
It was all right. Some really good times that were there. Jay West put in a great time. Jay Muscart was out there. Um, who else did we see? I can't remember. I can't remember a lot of names, but there was a lot of people out there putting in some good times, a lot of good fun. I love that event. It's so good for gym events.
Yeah. Yeah, as long as you have the turf space for the sled.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And so what do you need? You need 12 and a half meters realistically.
Yeah.
And you could change it up. You could do it with 10. You can make it work because that's the thing, right? That's the kind of it's not so restricted. Just kind of make it up a bit and you can do whatever you want. You can change shit if you want.
Hmm.
Just go from there. So it was right. Their farmer carry was really nice setup. And they had the kettlebells as opposed to dumbbells and nice, good loop, long loop. I'd stop to tie my shoe, but at least I got to this one on time.
Yeah.
I got a warm up in it and everything. And I still noticed everybody doing the same thing, though, going way too hard on the machines.
Hmm.
Like so many people just get on that skier and just crank it. And I'm like, nah, I just settle in, pull along. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But yes, we missed you guys. You guys would have had a good time with that.
Yeah.
Did you see Hunter and Joanna's time?
Yes, I did notice that they raced what, 51?
Mhm. D1.
Mhm.
And then James Newberry and Tia were second with like a 54:11, I think it was.
Yeah, they're about 2.5 minutes behind, it looked like.
So what do you think that says about where they're at?
I mean, I think they're improving.
Yeah. Do you,
It, I mean, they're focusing on it, which is cool because again, this one was in the middle of open 25.1. Um, and I did notice that Tia went back after the race and still did 25.1 and submitted a time.
she's not
Um,
really in Tia position on that board though for her normal self.
oh no, no. And like even her score in it was almost like she just went through the motions. Like it was not,
Hmm.
yeah, it was like 200 and something lower. So she's obviously making a statement about where her priorities are right now. Which again, I mean, she said she wasn't doing the open, so she still submitted a score.
Yeah, that surprised me because I didn't think she was going to do it at all.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, I mean, they're looking really good. They're definitely focusing on making something happen here with their doubles team. So it's good.
So the interesting thing I saw, and I actually read this in that barbell spin article, is that they didn't make up time on their runs.
Hmm.
Theoretically, the run times were almost identical to four. They made up some time on the ergs and in the rock zone.
Okay. Well, yeah,
So,
it does. I mean, it takes time to really truly improve your running.
oh
So
yeah, yeah. But I like you said, I mean, they'll go to Worlds, and because at Worlds, I think they will have a good shot because the mixed relay is not going to be a main event for any of the like the elite high rocks people, because they're going to have the elite 15, and then anyone doing doubles from the elite 15 is going to focus on the male, male, female, female category because there's money
yeah,
to be made there, right? That's the bigger prestige with the elite 15 for that, whereas the mixed ones kind of you're going to have who's left, which is not trying to sound degrading because there's still awesome athletes there, but it's not going to be quite the high level coaches. So they have a real shot.
yeah,
That'll be exciting to see. And as far as I'm hearing, they are intending to go. And
yeah. I've heard that they're focusing on it actually.
I think so. That's what I'm hearing too. Like, but again, secondhand information, right? So you're never really sure until it gets there.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I sent you the thing. Did you see? And it was from Tiago Lusa, kind of complaining basically about High Rocks coaches popping up out of everywhere and like from other things. And I kind of took that as, is that like a shot at Tia and her launching that program and stuff like that? And I wasn't quite sure where he was getting. I understand what he's getting at, but I wonder if he's taking specific shots. I did want to say one thing about Tia's program is that Tia's program is actually James Kelly,
Hmm.
right? Because James Kelly's been hired as the High Rocks instructor for Proven, which is Tia's programming platform. So in a way, I'm a lot more okay with that because, you know,
Well, and we know Tia understands training methodology
mhm.
a lot better than some people who are popping up as High Rocks coaches, and I wouldn't doubt her ability to understand how to train properly for something. Um, just with her level of experience in competition, and I'm sure that it's a great program, and she's been surrounding herself with some of the best, training with Joanna, with James Kelly, and um so I think her program is going to be solid. I don't think that that's the who Tiago Lusa would have been referring to. I mean, I see High Rocks coaches popping up everywhere, just you know, Instagram people with a big following who are just doing their gym thing, all of a sudden they're deciding they're going to coach High Rocks also, and just because it's the trendy thing right now, and they don't really run or they don't have a running background, and I think that's such a big part of it, and it's not really something, um, yeah, it's just it takes a lot more knowledge, I think, than to put together some workouts where you just include the high rock stations, which again, that's not really how we train for high rocks. Like there's so much more to it. So I think it's more around that, and just your regular Instagram fitness coaches are all of a sudden high rocks coaches, and they've done their one to get their Instagram photos, and there's so much more to it than, especially with that level of running involved, that I think that's probably more what he's talking about.
So here's my question for you. As to give people advice, I'm looking for a High Rocks coach. How do I filter through the shit?
Um, well, I
What do
think,
I look for? What do I look for?
yeah, I mean, from my perspective, because High Rocks is 50% running, and I think that's such a big component of it. I think if you're looking at a coach, you want to look for someone who has a proven record with understanding training methodology from a running perspective. Um, especially if that's your area of weakness, where that's something you've never really focused on. I would look for a coach who has knowledge with the running component. Because I think a lot of coaches have the gym side of things, the strength training, a lot of them really get that. But I think what would make a really good high rocks coach is someone who understands running methodology. And I think that's what would separate some of the bad coaches from the good. Yeah, and that it's not just like that they know running and they're not just sending you out on, a 60-minute run every morning with no variation in the running program. And there's a progression with running. So if you want communication with someone, then see are they just giving you, a cookie cutter program that they've given to everybody else, where it's like my 6 week whatever to your first high rocks, or are you actually going to get a coach? Because there is a pretty big difference too. And I think a lot of these people with mass Instagram followers spitting out a high rocks program, it's probably, if you really want to improve, I probably wouldn't start with something like that.
So I look at it this way. So you have things like you just said, the 6 week program to your first high rocks or whatever, 12 week, 8 week, whatever. Hey, those are okay,
Mhm.
but don't pay for a personalized coach to get one of those, right? Like those are, you should be paying very little for that. That's
Yeah.
yeah. If you want a personalized coach that you're going to pay good money for, make sure you're getting that personalized coach that is communicating with you, that's tailoring with you. That to me that makes a big difference. Is
Yeah.
is that because a lot of running is, you can make those programs. It can work a generic program to a certain extent. It's not going to be your best.
Mhm.
It might be a little hit or miss, but it still has some value, some merit. It's just don't pay personalized money for cookie cutter programs.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I just it it still makes me cringe when I see all of them pop up online.
I know. I saw one this morning. Same thing. It was a fitness Instagram influencer type, 150,000 followers. And um, she's a runner who is very injured. So now she's deciding to push sleds in the gym instead. So now she's releasing a high rocks program. I'm like, oh man. This
Yeah, yeah, they're everywhere.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. And then, her wall balls are a half a squat away from being to depth and like, oh man.
yeah. I don't even talk. I won't even talk about it. I just can't anymore. I mean, I'm so deep in it that it's like it's gotten so hard for me to just
Mhm.
any event and just watch and just I literally because of what I've been doing, I literally like have to just turn away and walk away because it's
Mhm.
either that or jump the fence and get in there and go, no, 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 no.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, yeah, I've often said this is a character fault of mine. I have to always recognize I was not invited to do this at this place. I was not asked to do this. You need to just shut up and walk away. And
Mhm.
it's just so hard because there's so many, and like you say, you see people coaching, and you're like, what the what the fuck are you doing? Like, what
I
is
know.
that? And
Yeah.
those guys, I think I said the guys from South Africa doing the burpees, the craziest burpees I've ever seen.
Hmm.
And now these guys are not advertising that they are High Rocks coaches, but they are.
They are coaches.
And I'm like, yeah, I don't even know what to say. They were just so bad and yet so good in in a different realm. Like, I mean, they were athletic,
Oh yeah.
super athletic. They just weren't following any rules anywhere at any time.
Mhm.
And they were like hammering these zones and walking into them and walking out of them. And it's just like, oh, it just anyway.
Mhm.
It's are we gatekeeping?
For coaching,
Do you think so? Do you think we're gatekeeping? Do you think we're being those people?
I mean, maybe because I'm a coach, I'm a bit more critical in that I I don't know. It's social media, I think, that makes this so tricky because people can have a ton of followers and, they're really good at the social media thing. But does that make them a great coach? No. But I mean, that's kind of the way things are right now. And I think it just depends on what people are looking for. Are you looking for a coach or are you looking for a program that's just cookie cutter and maybe that works for you because you just need something to follow and I don't know, maybe you followed this person for a long time, but yeah. I mean, people can choose how they want to spend their money and time. So,
Quick recommendations. If you want like an app, or I don't want to call it cookie cutter because it does sound offensive, but if you want an app or something like that, go to the Hybrid Engine, RMR. Even after the Running Public has one. Um, I believe Tiago Luz out there has one. The Hogans, like go to somebody reputable that you
yeah,
know.
and they do have programs like that where it is a follow along 6 weeks, but I mean at least when it's coming from someone like Rich Ryan and Meg and Lauren and Anthony, it's not garbage. Like it's going to be a quality program. So and it's going to be something that they've probably done before. So it's tested and tried and true. So yeah, if you're going to do the 6 week cookie cutter, they're not all bad. Like I know my program is not individualized. I don't need that though. And that's the truth of it too. And we've talked to Anthony about this. Not everybody needs individualized. Just make sure that it has a good balance. And there's more than just pushing sleds and doing ski ergs. And the running is well planned, and it's not just easy runs all the time. Or the running is a good portion of it too. And yeah, just a good balance to it. If it's
Yeah,
you
if you buy a program like a cookie cutter program and it's got your running in it, and let's just say it's just running and then repeating the stations of High Rocks or Decker or anything like that, that's not good. That's not going to help you. Yes, you do need to do some station work for skill specific stuff, but there needs to be strength work. There needs to be proper conditioning like that. It's not just run and do some zones, run and do some zones. That yeah, it'll help if you're coming off the couch kind of thing. But if you want to get to really, really want to go, that's probably not the best program. That's not the best made program anyway. It's not the most well thought out. You need to
no.
find something that is more, again, geared towards high rocks, towards making you a stronger and faster athlete.
Mhm.
I think that's probably the biggest one I see is people will be putting out a program just running and then throwing some stations.
Yeah.
It's it's not
Mhm.
it's not how it works.
Yeah. And then just a 30-minute AMRAP every other day of all the stations.
Yeah, yeah, more station, more of the
Be a
same
lot.
station. Yeah, yeah. I don't,
Yeah.
yeah, it's not going to work out like that. I mean,
Yeah.
look at Lauren. I know Lauren does very little station work. Like
Mhm.
it's a lot of strength work. It's a lot of cardio. It's a lot of, but it's not as specific. I think that's the point. Like a hybrid, you shouldn't have to spend a ton of time at specified work.
Mhm.
It's more about output and fitness and strength, not about who has the greater skill at this particular movement. So
Mhm.
I think so. So yeah, look for that. I tell you what, Beth, I was going to put two episodes into one, and I don't think I'm going to do that anymore because this has nothing to do with that.
You can release them separate. That's fine.
I think we'll release them separate. We'll do that. So for right now you've got that out of the way. What do you have coming up next? What's next for you?
So we actually don't have anything until High Rocks Worlds, not specifically. Like there's some things that could potentially be on the table, like Toronto Spartan. Um, yeah, that might be the only one that's like possible, but yeah, that's it really. Right now it's just about High Rocks Worlds, I think.
I think that's probably the way to do it, though. If you really want to do your best there, you need to. Me personally, I wouldn't do Toronto Spartan if I was going to High Rocks Worlds, and that's pretty close to it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I wouldn't want to do it. I wouldn't do it. It's just, I remember last year doing Blue Mountain before Deca Worlds, and that was a couple months out, and I'm like, do not fall down this damn hill.
Yeah. I
Wrap your
just
knee
love
in
the
your
Toronto
ankle.
Spartan.
What's that?
I just Toronto Spartan was my first one and it's just so nostalgic for me and I don't know if I maybe missed it last year. I don't even remember.
Yeah, yeah. Well, then go there and make your kids run it.
I might do that. I can't go and not run.
You can. It is possible.
No, I probably can't.
You almost did it at your last deck event.
I almost did.
Almost
But
did it. You
I
almost did
didn't.
it. No, you
Yeah.
didn't. It was almost. It was really close.
Mhm.
All right, Beth, take us home.
Yeah, thanks so much everyone for listening. Yeah, and the races are starting to ramp up now, so the racing world is getting exciting. I think we have a major coming up this weekend,
I believe so. Yeah, Glasgow.
Glasgow, and I just
And sorry,
saw,
not this weekend. It's like coming up on like Wednesday or Thursday or some crap like that.
yes, and we have our Canadian Maria Fessick is in the lineup for the Elite 15. So that's exciting. Yeah, so for everyone out there, keep doing your thing and keep crushing it.
Take care.